From multi-million-dollar penthouses to potentially facing attempted vehicular homicide charges, Erik Conover's story is one of the most shocking falls from grace in YouTube history. If you love stories about YouTube drama and want to see more content like this, smash that like button and hit subscribe because we've got some wild stuff coming your way. You probably know Erik Conover as that charming guy who toured insanely expensive properties on YouTube. Over 2.7 million subscribers watched him walk through homes worth more than most people will make in their entire lifetimes. But what you don't know is how this real estate superstar went from showcasing billion-dollar towers to sitting in a jail cell facing 30 years in prison. This isn't your typical YouTube drama. We're talking attempted murder charges, high-speed police chases, and recorded phone calls that completely destroyed his legal defense. Trust me, by the end of this video, you'll understand why the entire YouTube community is still trying to process what happened. Back on November 22nd, 2016, a young Erik Conover uploaded his very first YouTube video. The title, Apartment Hunting in New York City. Nothing too crazy, right? Just another guy with dreams of making it big in the Big Apple. But this charming young man had something special, a personality that made you want to follow along on his journey. Those early videos showed Erik living what most people would call the dream life. He documented trips to Thailand, climbed Mount Kilimanjaro, and basically portrayed this fun, cool lifestyle that had viewers thinking, man, I wish that was me. Within just 1 year, he had transformed from a regular guy with a camera into a bona fide influencer. But everything changed on April 15, 2018. That's when Erik posted his first real estate video. And it wasn't just any property. We're talking about a $20 million New York City townhouse. This wasn't some basic apartment tour. This was a jaw-dropping 7-story property with an indoor pool, which is basically unheard of in NYC. The video also featured Ryan Serhon, a celebrity real estate agent from Nest Seekers International, and together they created something magical. Over 6 million people watched that video. To put that in perspective, most YouTubers would kill for those numbers on their biggest hits. For Erik, this was just the beginning. Erik had cracked the code. He realized something that most content creators miss completely. People are absolutely fascinated by wealth they'll never have. His videos became windows into a world that 99% of viewers couldn't even dream of affording, and that's exactly what made them so addictive. This created what business experts call a win-win scenario. Regular people got to live vicariously through these tours, getting their dose of fantasy and escapism. Meanwhile, wealthy clients and their agents occasionally made actual purchases after seeing Erik's exposure, which meant he was making money from both real estate commissions and YouTube ad revenue. The properties got more and more insane. Billion-dollar towers, $80 million mountainside compounds, and even a literal Batman-themed mansion. Each video reinforced Erik's belief that he'd figured out YouTube's secret formula, and honestly, the numbers backed him up. By 2021, Erik made a decision that seemed brilliant at the time. He quit being a real estate agent entirely to focus solely on content creation. This move completely paid off. Everyone considered him a high-functioning, successful person who had built something incredible from scratch. But here's where our story takes its first dark turn. In late 2024, something weird happened. Erik Conover, who'd been consistently uploading for nearly a decade, just vanished from YouTube. No explanation, no goodbye video, nothing. For a creator who'd built his entire brand on consistency, this radio silence was extremely concerning. Fans started speculating. Where was Erik? Was he okay? The theories ranged from burnout to personal problems, but nobody expected what came next. January the 25th, 2025, after months of silence, Erik uploaded what might be the most bizarre video in YouTube history. The title alone was a red flag. How I Got Sober from Alcohol Building Legacy Episode 1. The video ran for 1 hour and 13 minutes, which was already unusual for his channel, but the content was what really shocked everyone. Erik claimed he'd been sober for 1,558 days, though he later changed this number to 1,444 days, which was confusing enough on its own. The video's description was absolutely wild, discussing absolute intelligence, alcoholism, and sacred geometry. Erik referred to himself as the architect of the consciousness revolution. He talked about plant medicine healing his soul and mentioned a near-death experience in NYC, but gave zero details about what actually happened. The whole thing felt disjointed and all over the place. This video that should have been a triumphant return only got around 80,000 views, roughly 1/10 of what his real estate content typically earned. It ended up being both the first and last episode of what he called his podcast series. What happened next was painful to watch. Erik's behavior on social media became increasingly erratic. He started posting frequent anti-police statements, and fans began commenting that they felt like they were witnessing a mental breakdown in real time. Looking back, that sobriety video aged like milk. Comments started pouring in, pointing out the irony, especially considering what was about to unfold. Many people now believe Erik experienced a severe relapse or a mental health crisis, despite his claims of being sober. March 2025 was when everything completely fell apart. Just 2 months after that confusing sobriety video, Erik was arrested for DWI, driving while intoxicated, in Bartlett, New Hampshire. He was released shortly after, but this was just the beginning of a nightmare that would destroy everything he'd built. Days later, the incident that would end Erik's career happened. A rollerblader was recording video on Route 302 when they captured Erik's black Jeep speeding away from police. He was doing 55 miles per hour in a 35 miles per hour zone, which started what would become an 8-mile police chase. When officers finally pulled him over, what should have been a routine traffic stop became something much more serious. The police officer got out of his vehicle, probably trying to de-escalate the situation like they're trained to do. Instead, Erik allegedly drove straight at the officer. The impact threw the officer approximately 40 feet and injured his leg. Thank God the officer survived, but this single moment transformed Erik from a traffic violator into someone facing attempted vehicular homicide charges. But Erik wasn't done. After striking the officer, he continued the high-speed chase for another 28 miles. Police eventually used spike strips to stop him, and drone footage captured the entire terrifying sequence of events. When Erik was finally detained, he allegedly tried to use his fame as leverage, identifying himself as a big YouTuber. He even lied about his identity, claiming to be a different Erik from New Jersey. But police quickly saw through this deception. His court hearing was where things got really disturbing. Erik had what witnesses described as a complete mental breakdown. He accused police of falsifying paperwork and made this absolutely wild statement: "If anyone dares try to test my mental confidence, I will eviscerate every single person with my intelligence right now." Erik cried out to his parents, who were watching via video call, saying, "Mom, thank God, look at me." He claimed to be a public figure and suggested the entire incident was some kind of police sting operation. When it came to bail, he told the judge he could pay $1 million, but shouldn't have to pay more than $2,000. The judge's response: held without bail. Initially, Erik faced attempted murder charges, which would have been devastating. However, prosecutors later decided not to pursue the attempted murder charge, opting instead for lesser charges they felt were better supported by the evidence. But don't think Erik got off easy. The current charges are still incredibly serious. Class B, felony disobeying an officer. Class B, second-degree assault with extended imprisonment terms. Class A, felony first-degree assault. 2 counts of Class B felony reckless conduct with extended imprisonment terms. Class B felony conduct. after an accident, reckless driving. When you add up all these charges, Erik is potentially looking at over 30 years in prison. Legal experts suggest a plea deal for 5 to 10 years is more realistic, but that's still a life-destroying sentence for someone who was on top of the world just months earlier. The YouTube community's response has been a mix of shock, disappointment, and sadness. Commentators are calling Erik's situation a tragic case of self-induced self-destruction, comparing it to other influencers who've experienced very public breakdowns. Some people online have claimed Erik previously harassed people in New York City, displaying aggressive and insulting behavior even before his legal troubles. Whether these claims are accurate or not, they show how quickly public perception can shift when someone falls from grace. Erik's YouTube career is almost certainly over permanently. Even if he somehow avoids the worst-case legal scenarios, rebuilding trust with an audience after attempted vehicular homicide charges is nearly impossible. What makes this story particularly tragic is that while Erik's erratic behavior strongly suggested genuine mental health issues or substance-induced problems, his documented attempts to fake mental illness for legal advantage completely destroyed his credibility. Instead of being seen as someone who needed help, he's now viewed as manipulative and deceitful. Erik's story serves as a stark reminder of how quickly things can unravel, especially when mental health and substance abuse issues go untreated. His rise from unknown apartment hunter to multi-million subscriber YouTuber was genuinely impressive, but his fall has been equally spectacular in all the wrong ways. Currently, Erik remains held without bail, facing what legal experts say is a very bleak situation. Despite the dropped attempted murder charge, he's still looking at potentially decades in prison. The contrast between the charming host who once showed us incredible properties and the man sitting in a jail cell today couldn't be more striking. The Erik Conover story isn't just about one YouTuber's downfall, it's a cautionary tale about untreated mental health issues, the pressure of online fame, and how quickly a life can completely derail. Whether you followed his real estate content or are just learning about him now, his story is a reminder that behind every successful online persona is a real person dealing with real problems. And sometimes those problems win.